I love to see the towns passing by and to ride these rails neath God's blue sky. Let me travel this land from the mountains to the sea, 'cause that's the life I believe He meant for me. And when I'm gone and at my grave you stand, say God called home your rambling man.
Welcome to Ramble Man Podcast, episode number 82. This one is with our returning guest, Zak Goeringer, and it's on panic disorder. But be prepared, because apparently I had a fire lit up my ass and I talked a lot on this episode. So sorry, Zak. Maybe I need to have you on again to actually allow you to talk next time. If you'd like to give Zak a follow online or follow along with one of his podcasts, his main Instagram is Goeringer__Zak. That's GOERINGER__ZAK. How about you subscribe to his podcasts? There's Panic on This Pod, which is what we talked about on this episode, and that's at Panic on This Pod on Instagram. And his movie podcast is called But Why Do You Like It? And the Instagram for But Why Do You Like It is at But Why Do You Like It? Subscribe to both of those podcasts. Sponsor this week is Feral Giant. Feral Giant is a graphic design, illustration, and social media consultation company based here in Knoxville, Tennessee. Though they do work for clients big and small all over the country, all over the globe, in fact. But they also do photography, videography, video editing, and audio editing, website design, SEO, writing, content development. Hell, they'll babysit your kids if it nets them money. So make sure you give them a follow on social media on either Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or LinkedIn at Feral Giant. And be sure to give them an email today and hire them for your next project. Without much further ado, here's the episode. The Grateful episode, I bit off more than I could chew.
You think so?
Well, it was, I did my big mega show for the radio show, the Christmas episode.
Yeah.
And tried to do the Grateful thing and try to manage the house drawings and try to prepare for Christmas all at the same time. So there hit a point with Grateful and the Christmas where I was like, I asked a shit ton of people and it hit a point. I was like, if we don't have anything on the schedule, I can't.
Right.
I can't do this.
Right.
And one of the lady out in Hollywood, I sent her messages because she's supposed to do the radio show. And she was like, are you still recording for the I was like, no, that literally came out Monday. I was like, no, because she pushed me off. She was like, I'm really busy this week. Can we talk again next? I was like, I can't ask you 5 times. Like, I was like, I have to just move the fuck on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate everybody. And it ended up being like a 2-hour episode, which I did not expect.
What'd you expect?
I expected like an hour of everybody talking for like 5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
But
I see.
One lady talked for 25 minutes and 2 guys talked for 20 minutes apiece. And there was only one that was super short, but all the rest of them were 5 minutes or so.
It's probably a good thing you didn't get your cousin Ryan on the episode then, because that would have been the whole episode.
No, it would have been, what am I grateful? I ain't grateful for shit this year. Yeah. Yeah, and then the Christmas one, it was the same thing. I was like, this is only a 2-hour I only have a 2-hour show. And I've got almost 2 hours worth of interview. I was like, I got to cut this back. So, the funniest was one of my friends, Jack. Her Christmas song pick was Justin Bieber's Holidays or something like that. And what I did for most of them was I played the interview portion and played the music underneath.
Yeah.
Once they mentioned the song. And I was like, I'm not playing Justin Bieber on my fucking show. And so I did not, she was the only one. She was like the 8th one in. And I don't know if one person noticed and sent me a DM, said, thank you for not playing Justin Bieber. And at the end of her interview, I was like, hi, so Justin Bieber does not get played on my radio show. Here's Otis Redding with White Christmas.
That's
And
incredible.
my friend Brittany immediately texted me and said, thank you for not playing Justin Bieber. Otis was a much better choice. I was like,
wow.
Yeah, what? Who the fuck would ever argue with that? So,
Yeah, exactly.
When did you start Panic on this?
Gosh. Like, do you want to know, like, when I was cognizant of when I was?
No, it was after the pandemic started, right?
Yes.
That's what I thought. Okay. It was somewhere, it
was, oh yeah, gosh, it was.
I know,
maybe,
everything feels like 3 years ago.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm. That's what I'm like. I'm sitting here like laughing about because, holy shit, it was in 2020. I think it was maybe March or April.
Let's see if we can figure it out. I have cut back on so many damn podcasts.
How dare you?
I still have, but why do you like it? I still have, I think I get it in here. And Panic on This. 2020. So the first one was May the 5th.
Okay, May. There you go.
May the 5th be with you. What did you start it because you were becoming more aware of it being an issue?
No, I started it because, well, I mean, if we're going to be completely honest, I started it because I love podcasts and I love listening to them. I love making them. You know, I've got fucking 2.
Yeah.
Well, maybe 3, but it's a lost podcast and it will never be released.
It's the podcast that shall not be named.
We're not even talking about its name.
I think I get it done.
It's not done. It's just it's on the back burner, but it's not done.
Okay,
it's definitely not done because there have been discussions about movies that we should do in regards to that.
Can't wait till you show her Condor Man.
Well, yeah.
You'd be like, what? Why? Yeah. Why is this happening?
Exactly. But I think, if I'm being honest, I wanted to do a podcast, but I was also like thinking to myself, like, there's still like a weird, especially, and it's not really a gendered thing, but you get the idea that men sometimes are more reluctant to talk about like emotional issues, mental issues, and I just kind of wanted to see if I could do something to like kind of sort of break the stigma on that, you know, like not that men are afraid to be emotional, like there's plenty of emotional men, but it's like I get the sense that maybe men are just like afraid to like talk about something that is like a diagnosed affliction.
Okay.
And I wanted to just
worried about being seen as weak.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I wanted to just be like, you know, this is this thing that I fucking deal with all the time and I'm just going to talk about it. Like one of the episodes I did at 4 a.m. after I had woke up and I couldn't sleep.
I remember that.
And how much ridiculous insanity was in my brain at that point. And I was just, fuck it. I'm just going to I'm going to set a microphone in front of myself and talk about like how sleepy I am and how the sleep deprivation is like making my brain do fucking somersaults and shit. And it was, So, I mean, the pandemic year kind of accelerated it.
Yeah.
I probably, because, I didn't have this idea in 2019.
No.
But, yeah.
Has it been cathartic?
Yeah, some episodes, like, super cathartic. Like, there was an episode that I did with my wife where we talked about, like, panic and anxiety in relationships and being, the constant like rumination of like, why did that relationship end? Was it probably me? Was it like, or was it the other person? And like how you're never going to stop thinking about that unless you just make a conscious decision to not think about it anymore because it's over. And then, and I'm not just saying this because I'm sitting here talking to you, I actually got a lot of feedback on the episode you were on.
Really?
Yeah, about people like talking about like, yeah, you know, like creativity feels weird this year. It feels kind of selfish. And like you and I talked about that, like, do you feel the urge to still be creative, or do you feel like it's just gone from you? And like, and that was a really good episode. And because, you know, until you and I talked about it, like I had been thinking about creativity and shit like that. And like, you know, but overall it's like, yeah, it's super cathartic. Like some episodes I would talk about, like I would just talk about like the universe and how much it fucking fucks me up. And that's not. And
I remember that.
Yeah, and that's not cathartic because when I talk about it, it makes me think about it more.
Fuck. Now I've got to deal with this.
Yeah. So yeah, but for the most part, yes, I would say it's very cathartic.
But okay, this is not as pointed as it sounds. Probably. Do you think? Because I think we addressed this in mine when I was talking about like the podcast and the radio show. Do you think it's distracting to where it's making you not deal with shit, or do you think it's making you deal with shit?
I think that, and that's a really good question, and I don't think it's pointed at all. I think sometimes, I think at the beginning, yeah, it was probably a distraction.
Yeah,
it was like, I want to do something to like, take my mind off of reading the fucking news.
Yeah,
but then as I was getting more into it, and I was talking about things like current events during it. Yeah. That started to like make me realize, okay, so I am addressing both things at the same time. Like I'm addressing my panic about these things that are currently happening. Yeah. Like when I started the podcast, I was just talking about like how panic disorder started for me in my life. And I'm not in that episode anymore, but as this was going on, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to talk about COVID. I'm going to talk about Trump. I'm going to talk about all the things that are like, and I was like, yeah,
they're exacerbating this.
Yeah. Yeah. And it made me address, and like you said, not just view it as a distraction. It made it like more catharsis. So, yeah.
But because I fussed at you on that episode about this, but do you find yourself doom scrolling on like, well, only 5 people like this post? So.
Oh, totally. Oh, I have no qualms. I have no qualms admitting that shit.
Oh,
like
God.
Like it still fucking happens with my photography. Like I'll get really pissed if I think a photo is really good and it gets like it's low engagement. I'm like, fuck, these people don't know shit.
I'm amazed. Like that Grateful episode came out and I can see back end numbers. I was like, wait. 50 people viewed this and 1 person liked this. Yeah. What the fuck is wrong? And you can see who viewed it. And I was like, you fucking dickheads. Yeah. You couldn't throw it a like. You dickheads.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
Hurts my brain. And I posted that to all the channels. To Feral Giant Joe. And every single one, it's like 10 likes, 12 likes. I was like, do you want me to post another stupid photo of me? Or a photo of empty cigarette packs? Really? That's what you want to see? That's what gets 60 likes? But something being kind of honest and, you know, fuck, what is wrong?
Yeah, and hell, dude, I even did it with, like, because I'm sure you can see it too when you upload your Ramblin' Man episodes. When I uploaded that Panic episode about the universe, and I was like, this is a really good episode. This is like maybe the truest representation of what happens in my brain. And, like, the downloads on that shit and engagement were so low. Yeah. But then, like, maybe 2 weeks before that, I had posted the episode with Lindsay and the fucking engagements and everything. And I'm like, oh, okay, so I just got to have my fucking wife on the show to get people to listen to.
It's that looking at the
but
back.
Then the same shit happened when you were on the episode. And I was like, oh, so that gets the fucking engagement. All right.
You got to have somebody named Collins.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's the funniest part, looking at the back end of Ramblin' Man and seeing episodes with people with blue check marks that don't get that many downloads.
Seriously?
But then, like, the 2 biggest episodes, and I'll tell her this, is my friend Erin Hall, where she did the episode on CrossFit, and then she did one on CrossFit in Dubai and her coming out story.
Oh, yeah,
Those two are I was like, I love Erin. those are not the 2 best episodes I've ever done.
Right.
But those are the 2 biggest downloads. And even one of my friends has talked shit. She's like, my episode's the biggest download. I was like, no, not even close. And she's fucking pissed about that. I was like, I don't think you shared it. So why stop talking shit? Like if you promoted it, maybe so. But, but yeah, I try. I've gotten to a point to where I don't look at individual numbers. I look at the big number. And that one still kind of hurts my brain because what am I up to now? I think I just hit 16,000 downloads on Ramblin' Man.
Nice.
And one of my friends was like, oh, yeah, that's pretty good, I guess. I was like, I don't do anything with this. I put it on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. I've grown a small audience. That's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Stop acting like that's nothing.
Yeah, I said the same thing about, but why do you like it? I was like, there are no famous people on this.
No.
My Instagram following on, but why do you like it? I have 33 followers.
Yeah.
I have 240 followers on my regular Instagram page.
Yeah.
And I'm at 800 downloads, and I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
This is a podcast that started this year. Hey, I feel good about that shit.
Oh, yeah. Early on, it was the same way. Like the first year or something of Ramblin' Man, I was happy when one episode got up to 100 downloads. I was like, holy shit, that one just hit 100. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And then now it's 16,000. I'm like, holy fuck. I was like, I don't know how many subscribers I got. I can see about how many downloads I get.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of that to where I've tried to use that. I've pitched one company on advertising. One guy wants to spend the money. His partner does not want to spend the money. Yeah, he was like, nobody's going to. I was like, no. I was like, it'll be long tail. Like it's not this episode's going to go up and you're going to immediately get 20 calls, but you'll get 20 calls over the next year off of this.
Yeah.
And I was like, and the people who listen are actually dedicated. So
yeah.
It's like that's because I get texts from 5 to 6 people. Hell, one of them literally just texted me and said, "Love the podcast." I was like, "Cool." He's one of my listeners. I know. I'm gonna get messages from people.
Yeah.
But no, I've got enough doom scrolling on other things. Deleted Facebook off my phone.
Hey, that's good.
It's not deleted, but I didn't deactivate my account.
Yeah, but your phone is like the thing you have with you, and it's so easy to just go to it. And like to make the actual effort to look at Facebook now you have to get on a fucking computer.
Yeah. What else? Twitter, I don't go on. Instagram, I need to start going back on, but I just hit a point where I was like, this is...
See, and the thing is I've managed to get less likes or whatever on Instagram, because I also realized that I do like seeing other people's photography. That inspires me. I like seeing what my friends are up to. I've managed to curate that Instagram to the point to where I'm not gonna fucking see something that annoys the shit out of me. It's still like you said, it can happen on Twitter easily.
Yeah,
because somebody will just retweet something into your timeline, and you're like.
Or for me, it's my personal Instagram. I can go on more, but my business Instagram, it hurts sometimes.
Sure.
And I actually sent somebody reshared. It was a local brewery that they got a new can design, and one of my friends posted that can, and I looked at it. I was like, "That's somebody I bid on doing this," and I didn't get that. I was like, and I sent it to my friend, and I was like, "Well, this is a bummer." Who was the one who connected me to that brewery? And she's like, the little backstory, they probably didn't get paid for that. I was
right.
Like, okay. That makes it a little bit better, but it still stings a little bit.
Yeah.
Whereas the business account, it's harder because you see, it's all the perfect, to where I try to curate that thing a lot to be like, stop looking at Instagram. It's all fake. It's all bullshit.
Yeah.
I realize I do social media for a living. It's all bullshit.
Oh, yeah, totally.
It's all bullshit.
Yeah.
But yeah. Doom scrolling, I keep trying to get away from.
It's, I wish. Okay, I don't really wish I don't wish your phone would stop you, because that's a form of censorship. But I do wish there was something that like something that gave you a tiny shock in your thumb, if you went to too many fucking shitty news articles and you hit like your fourth one and like your phone just gives you like a little like,
Yeah.
you know, just like a, hey, stop.
Well, I kept obsessing about the COVID bill.
Yeah.
And because the honest thing is $2,000 would be a game changer right now. $600 is going to be hard to make a dent, but $2,000 would be a game changer. And I had to, because I'm very open and honest, my buddy that I walk with every Friday, we walked a couple weeks ago, and I told him how much money I made this year. And he said, I just started getting anxiety. He's like, look at me. He was sweating. He was like, I don't know how you made it. I was like, I made it because I grew up poor. I was like, I hang out with this group. God love them. One of the guys might listen to this. If you're out there and your name starts with an R, sorry for what I'm about to say. But I hang out with these guys every Wednesday night. It's kind of a small business. All of us own our own small businesses. One guy's retired. One guy works for community television. But for the most part, everybody else works for themselves. So there's only 6 of us.
Uh-huh.
We started doing this 5 or 6. I brought this up because you and Ryan gave me shit about how y'all weren't invited. This was like 5 or 6 months ago. We started this where every Wednesday we meet and everybody brings a bottle of booze or cigar. Sure. We just hang out mutually distanced apart.
Sure.
And I hate to say it, like one of the guys, like 3 of them in, he was like, thank you for doing this. Because he was like, I get up, I see my wife, I go to work, I come home, I see my wife, I go to bed. It's the same thing. He was like, this is save my mental health. Seeing other people and being able to talk about stupid shit like tits.
Yeah, yeah.
He was like, but it was very clear the last time we hung out, and I made fun of all of them to their faces for this. I was like, oh, you all are on a completely different plane than me. None of you grew up poor. All of you grew up with wealth. The wealth inequality is fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Because they started talking about the one guy who retired, God love him, he's amazing, that he's like maybe 50 and he's retired. He just was smart with his money. And it was one of those like, I socked away $200 every paycheck. And so they kept talking about this. And here's where I am going to make fun of one of the guys. One of the guys, it's a toxic relationship that I need to just be done with. Because he knows I do marketing, he hired a marketing company. He's taken ideas from me.
Oh, shit.
Like,
that is a toxic relationship
yeah, and,
that you do not need to be.
But here's what we got down to. So they start talking about money and all this shit. And at the end, like I hadn't said anything. And then I just started laughing at him. I was like, y'all are fucking adorable. I was like, here's how I don't fit into this. You're talking about saving $200 a paycheck. $200 is how I live. I was like, you all don't understand poverty at all. And I pointed at one of the guys. I was like, you sat there and told me that I should spend $1,200 on a tripod because I needed to get one that was good, that would make me a pro.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've got a $35 tripod in there from Target. Guess what? It holds up the camera.
Yeah.
What does a tripod need to do? He's like, yeah, but you need the head. And I was like, no, you don't. I was like, dude, you talking about dropping $1,200? $1,200 is what I've spent on entire vacations for 10 days.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck is wrong with all of you? So here's where I'm going to go to the toxic. So I just zoned out on all of it. I was like, y'all are fucking hilarious. It's like, yeah, and we're going to move money from our Roth IRA to our... I was like, fuck all of you.
If anyone's mentioning a Roth IRA, then they don't...
So it goes through all this, and I just looked at him and was like, I'm going to work till I die. I was like, this shit about saving up for retirement, I'm going to work till I die. I was like, I just assumed that. So I have some savings built up or some retirement built up, a 401k, but I don't even look at it because it's just fake money out there that's not real.
Yeah.
And, but then somehow the conversation switched to, I'm going to call the toxic guy Toxie. If you like movies, you'll love this. So we start talking, and he mentions SEO, and I know SEO. So I just start rattling off, and then I turn to the retired guy, and I was like, see how you were talking and how you were talking and I wasn't talking? Now it's the opposite because this is my shit. So I run through everything on the guy Toxie about like SEO, and he's like, yeah, I don't think I need to do it now, but eventually I was like, well, you're missing these avenues and channel, and I just start running through everything he's doing wrong. He's like, huh. Well, I'll eventually get into it. I was like, and I won't go. And you'll probably hire another company instead of hiring the motherfucker who's sitting right in front of you who just told you all the shit to do, you dumb fuck. Like, it was hard because one of the other guys actually noticed this shit like that. And he's like, wait, he hired, don't you do, he literally said in front of him, don't you do that, Jody? I was like, yes, I do. This is why I drink. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, it's fucking weird, but
it doesn't. Yeah, that sounds like a relationship you need to get out of.
But it's one of those because he's in that group and he's like he actually did give me a good idea on the house drawings, but it's just funny. Like here's where I'm going with all this. I'm circling back around, and I'm getting right into the groove of rambling, man. That we're all over the goddamn place. With having this panic disorder, have you had it so long that you're able to recognize someone like Toxie and be like, I got to cut them out?
Yeah.
And feel like no guilt or no shame for cutting them out?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's been, it's... it's hard to follow through with it all the time because you do think to yourself, like, I'm just doing this because, like, am I being selfish? You know? But then you realize, like, when it comes to things like that, there's nothing wrong with being selfish.
Yeah.
Because if I was I've let go of friends, not super recently, but like, actually maybe like 2 years ago. That's sort of recent. Like, because when I realized that they made me feel anxious all the time, like talking to them, and it's like it seems insane to say, but like, why am I still talking to this person that every time I talk to them, I start getting fucking agitated?
Yeah.
And it starts spiraling me. And, I think to an extent, like, okay, be selfish. Like, you talking about this person, Toxie, fucking be selfish, man.
Yeah.
This dude is like, if this dude is taking ideas and kind of literally taking money out of your hand, fuck that. Like, if he's he's been a part of this circle, and this person that I cut out 2 years ago, I had known since fucking elementary school. Yeah. But it's like, I realize, like, every fucking time I talk to this dude, it's like I feel agitated afterwards, and it's like, it's a minute to calm down. So, I've had it for long enough to where, like, I can see things and see patterns, and it's also... You probably get this too, like because you've been doing graphic design for a long time,
28 years.
Yeah, so I imagine I always put it like this: like, somebody that's been doing like graphic design for like 5 years came up to you and like started to try to tell you like the ins and outs of graphic design. You would be like,
"You're adorable."
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
When people. It sounds like I'm being elitist about a fucking disorder, but when people want to tell me like, oh man, panic disorder, that must be rough. I know sometimes I feel really anxious at parties, and I'm like, do you?
Yeah. Let me tell you what real anxiety is.
I'm like, is it rough at parties sometimes?
I get that because I had one of my friends fuss at me, and she was like, you wouldn't understand, you're an extrovert. I was like, no, I'm not. And she was like, yeah, but you're around people all the time. I was like, because I force myself to.
Yeah, fucking so.
I'm also the person that I'll go to a party and just have to go at 11 the entire time. But then I need to come home and be alone and not talk. Or like doing this shit. She's like, oh no, you're an extrovert because you do this. I was like, no, it's the whole, if I don't do this, nobody's going to give it. God love her. Aaron Donovan, if you're listening to this, nobody gives a shit about you going to the Czech Republic and mountain biking. I give a shit, and I want you to share that story.
Yeah.
Here's something that happened the other day, since I can't remember if I shared this in our text thread. a woman tried to call me out on being a toxic male, white privileged male.
Where?
In text. It was.
Oh, in text. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was somebody. Here, I'll say all this because I don't give a shit. She is a female landscape architect and landscaper.
Uh-huh.
And she friended me on Facebook a long time ago. I don't even know why, but she posts a lot about it. She was like, this is a male driven world. And, I really have to fight for all this. It's like, cool. It's like, so when it comes to interviewing somebody about landscape, I also wouldn't mind learning more about landscaping.
Sure.
And I was like, I'm going to interview her. I'm not going to interview a dude. I'm going to interview her. So I asked her, and she pushed it back like 2 or 3 times. And she's very verbose. I was like, this is going to be great because it's going to be like 4 hours long. Because she can't say anything in 3 words. She has to, and everything is very like grandiose. Like, so this will be explained in this. So she sent me a text. She's pushed back this podcast like 3 times. We finally figured out sometime in January to do it.
Yeah.
And she sent me like 3 texts in a row. And she was like, hey, I'm really looking for, and we're going to get deep, and I have so much to share, and blah, 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 going through all this stuff. And she's like, but I'm going to need to smoke while we do the podcast. And she's like, it's the French in me. And I was like, okay.
What?
Yeah. So I read that, and I was like, okay. And all I texted back was, well, if the weather's nice outside,
Yeah.
we can totally sit outside.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, I know about the weather, Jody. That's literally the sentence. And then it was just rapid fire about how I'm making demands of her, but I'm not allowing her to make one choice in what's happening. All this shit, just rapid fire, 3 paragraphs at a time. Just you white male privileged, all this. And she's like, well, we can push it back to nice weather, I guess, if that's okay with you. I was like, yeah, that's totally fine with me.
Holy shit.
And she just kept going on and on. And at one point, she said something to the effect of, is this how you would talk to somebody in the hood? If Alexandria or okay, I always forget her middle name. AOC. If AOC, you want to interview AOC, would you make her come to you and do all this shit? And I read that and I started laughing a little bit. I was like, she knows nothing about me. This is adorable. I'm going to use the term adorable, which I'm sure would piss her off. But she was explaining to me how I was, and she called me a white male privilege and all this. So this goes back to our unheard of podcast where I was talking about white women being awful. So then I wrote her back. I was like, here's a little story. I grew up in the hood. I grew up in the black community. I went to Fulton where I was the minority in the school.
Yeah.
If you would have bothered to listen to the podcast, I actually think I wrote that and then corrected it because I was like, I don't want to seem like I'm preaching, so I'm going to be polite.
Right.
You would have heard that every episode since May says support black-owned businesses and Black Lives Matter on every episode. I was like, I actually asked you because you're a woman in this industry that's dominated by men, and it was very important to me.
Yeah.
And she came back with, well, that's a cool story, bro, but I really need to smoke. And then she ended it with, you know what? I rescind my offer to be on your podcast. Merry Christmas and good night.
Oh, wow.
So I went through all that. And then the next night she texted me back and said, hey, I'm sorry for being an asshole last night. I just really need to smoke while we talk. And kind of left it. And I haven't responded to her. And here's why I bring all that up. I've got a friend of mine who fusses at me for what she considers ghosting people. So that's what we're going to get into next. Man, all that build up to this. So like this woman, there's nothing I can say to her to get her to understand how batshit crazy she is. But my friend she's like, no, you need to confront her and you need to talk to her about this. Or women I've dated, like in the last 6 weeks, 5 different women from my past have come back to try and date me again. And out of those 5, only 1 remains. And I'm about to just delete them all. Facebook, Instagram. Because I'm just like, I can't take this. Like, y'all are in your own little self-absorbed world.
Yeah.
That you were really hot on me for a minute and then you stopped responding. the walk away, get rid of toxic relationship. And my friend is like, well, you need to tell them how they, I was like, no, I don't. Because I'll never be able to explain to them what's wrong with their head and who the fuck is like rocking out to some
blasting.
Jesus.
Right outside.
Yeah. Did I see a car with, I see hazards on out there. Jesus. But anyway, all that to say, like with the panic disorder, is it harder? Do you confront people that you've had issues with, or a lot of them have you had to walk away?
Now, and it's funny, it's also a strange thing because it's come with age. I find myself being more confrontational as I age. Like, instead, like, okay, used to my panic would be fed into, I don't want to confront somebody because I'm just going to think about it nonstop. And it'll like drive me to like an anxious place, and then I'll end up inevitably panicking about it. But now it's like, I don't know, something has switched, and now I'm like, I'm on the verge of being 39 next month, and I'm like, yeah, if I've got a real issue, like, and if I need to let you know why I'm cutting this off, I'm fucking telling you.
Okay.
But normally,
is some of that like, if this person's worth saving, this relationship, then I'll confront. But if it's not worth saving, fuck that person. I don't want to waste the time.
That's almost exactly it.
Okay.
I will confront people that that's a very good point. I will confront people that I think can handle it.
Yeah.
Handle the confrontation. Not that I'm like a fucking asshole to them. I'm not just going to like berate them.
Here, I'll use
somebody
as an example, like Kayla. Kayla would be a good example. If you had a problem with Kayla, you feel comfortable enough to be able to be like, hey, this is an issue.
I do have a problem with Kayla.
I'm also thinking of somebody who would fight back like crazy.
Kayla, I hope you're fucking listening.
Yeah.
But if it's like somebody that either A, I'm not that invested in it hanging on, it might just be a ghosting thing.
Yeah.
It might just be like a please fade away on your own.
Yeah.
Because I'm not that concerned. If the confrontation happens and they decide that the relationship is not worth continuing, hey, then you know what? I said all the shit that I had needed to confront, and we have decided that it's just not gonna. Yeah. But if I'm ghosting and you get the hint that way,
it's amazing how many people, I wouldn't say ghosted, I've just stopped trying with them.
Yeah.
And how many of those people still don't notice it.
Oh, God.
It's like, holy
but
fuck.
See, that's the other thing you can run into is you can run into somebody that gets no hints.
And there's one that keeps hanging on, and I will not tell her that it's a problem because she'll make it about her. She's like, now I cried because you said that to me. I was like, yeah, that doesn't help. Stop being a dickhead to me. That's how this can fix. Like, stop. Yeah.
God.
That's another one that I told one of my friends, I was like, I'm tired of being Charlie Brown, but this is what really happens. Like, I've got one person that literally has handed $100,000 plus worth of work to another designer.
Damn.
Yes. But when it comes to me, they will suggest me to people for like unpaid internships or a $300 job. And I was like, that's what you recommend me. But that other place, they've made into the six figures on you just handing them work. I was like, now do you see why I might have an issue? I was like, you've promised that you were going to do a house drawing with me, and then you did not do that. That's almost the Maury Povich thing. That proved to be a lie. Like, it's so funny with that person that another friend and I make fun of that person. Like, how clueless they are. And that person still pops up in. She's like, oh my God, I miss you so much. I was like, you know how we can fix that? You can text me and we can hang out. Even in a pandemic, we can still hang out.
I don't know. Do you so?
Uh-oh, you're turning the tables on me.
No. I'm just like I'm asking if like this is something similar. Do you do you get resentful of people's success when you know you have more experience? Because
fuck yeah.
that shit happens to. I mean, and it happens to me with photography a lot because it's like I fucking studied photography. Like I know technical specs, everything like lens specs, like ways like composition, framing, everything.
Yeah.
Like I fucking studied this shit, and I get anxious when I start thinking like, why am I doing this to myself? Like, why? Who cares if somebody else has like 8,000 followers on Instagram and their photos are like whatever, they're regular photos, like they're fine.
Yeah,
but they're not like what I would consider like something that I'm inspired by. Do you get with graphic design where you're like, some of them, I have 28 years in this fucking shit, and you're giving it to, I don't know, whoever the shit that is.
Oh, there are people. I could name names.
Yeah.
Yes and no. I think with time and with it happening so often, here's where I'm a dickhead. And here's where I should not give you this information to do. A lot of them, I like, oh, okay, you're going to go with them? Cool. And then when they go with them and they present it, I was like, I can tell you 12 reasons why that sucks. And you just spent $60,000 on
right.
That. Like I am so unafraid of being self-critical to my own work. I'm my own worst enemy when it comes to my own work. Because anything you do, your photography, you can take a photo and 9 months from now you're like, God damn it, I didn't set this right.
Yeah.
And this is a little too out of focus, and you're going to drive yourself nuts.
Yeah.
When it comes to like other people, I just look and go, oh, that's fucking terrible. And let me explain to you why that's terrible. And you just wasted a lot of money. I was like, would I have done better? Maybe. I don't know. But you didn't give me the opportunity. So that's fine. Like, that's how I look at it. There's somebody in town that I finally just had to mute them because they've decided they graduated with a degree in art. And they've decided they're a branding expert and put that shit on their website.
Oh, wow.
And it's because they're a person that has never had something bad happen to them their entire life. They have lived this carefree life to where, but them, I think a lot of people I can compartmentalize and look at that person and go, you're not going to be doing this in 5 years. You're going to get married and you're going to pop out a baby, and this will be something you do as a hobby.
Yeah.
So I don't really worry about you. I was like, you're going to get applauded your entire life because that's your life.
How do you react to yourself though? Like when you catch yourself like maybe like. And not even out loud, like just talking shit about this person. Do you ever catch yourself and you're like, I got to stop doing that? Because that happens to me. Like I will get livid at like when I have, again, no problems admitting this. I will get like livid when I see like a photo get like 700 likes that I think is the most basic shit I've ever seen. But I will also maybe sometimes catch myself and be like, hey, God, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Like, why does this happen?
I think I'm lucky in that I have two people in my life that I call relief valves that I can send it to them and we make fun of, talk shit.
Yeah.
And neither one of them are designers, but they get it. And then, but with them, what I've started doing in like the last 3 months is I was like, any negative thing we send to one another, we have to send a positive after that.
Okay.
We have to, maybe that was like in the middle of the summer when I was like, man, I feel like everything I'm sending them is negative. I got to send something positive.
Right.
Because I don't want you to immediately look at text from me and go, God damn it, this is going to be some fucking negative. And I know that's self-obsession or whatever, but it's also how I am represented to other people. Not that I can manage that, but it's also like I don't want anybody to be bummed if I text them.
Sure. Okay.
So that's how I've managed some of that, is having that relief valve. I tell you, God, you may love this. I think it's also the big guy thing of I'm not afraid of being confrontational. Through AIGA, American Institute of Graphic Arts, there was The problem with them was they focused on the big cities that made them a lot of money and didn't give a shit about the smaller cities.
Oh, okay.
They were kind of the backbone.
Yeah.
And probably 3/4 were smaller cities.
Okay.
So one of the events was talking about how do you recruit people to be in AIGA from in-house creative. Like at Discovery Networks, they have 30 designers, like something like that.
Yeah.
But they're an anomaly in the city of Knoxville. Like PetSafe has 8 designers or something like that. You know,
Okay.
That's even high. In-house creative is usually going to be 2 or 3 people.
Oh, okay. Yeah. See, I didn't
So
know any
the
of this.
woman who ran this group was the art director at the White House under Barack Obama.
All right.
So she gave this talk and invited all these people to talk about how you recruit in-house. She was like, oh, well, just go to their office and throw a party. Because she, in her mind, DC, she was like, in-house creative is 50 to 100 people. And so I'm sitting with 2 other people in there, my buddy from South Carolina, and we walked out, and I was like, well, that was a waste of my fucking time. I was like, because she didn't give us anything. She's still catering, and I even said something in there, and she just glossed over.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it'd be harder for your size. I was like, I want to go, we're all that size, you asshole.
Yeah.
That's why we're in here.
Yeah.
So then later on, it was a happy hour in an art museum. And I'm talking to 2 of the people from Hawaii and a guy from Memphis. And they're asking me, they're like, how was that breakout session? I was like, oh, it was dog shit. I was like, it was fucking terrible. I was like, she didn't know what the fuck she was. And I just start going off. And then the guy from Memphis is literally going, like staring at me like, dude, shut the fuck up. Like that. And then all of a sudden she turned around and tapped me. And I turned around and I was like, oh, hey. And she was like, so you didn't like it? And at that moment, I had to make a game time decision. I was like, do I lie or do I was like, no, I didn't. And
Yeah.
I broke down every reason why. All of them walked the fuck away. They were so uncomfortable and scared. And I was like, no, here's the problem. And I ran and she's like, those are all fair points. I was like, yeah. I was like, you're not thinking about that because you live in DC. You got to think about, I was like, that's the problem with this organization. They don't give a shit about medium to small size.
Yeah.
I was like, you got to think about other people. And
Yeah.
how that, and she was like, okay, well, I'll take all that. And then she went through everything. And the funny part, because it's me, I almost asked her for a business card because I wanted a business card that said the White House on it at that point, but I didn't do it. But I think it's the courage of your convictions. Like there's some of those where it's the hill I want to die on. And there's some of those where it's like, I don't have it's almost like Ryan. I don't have the brain power to explain to you how you're wrong. Like, that's how I feel some of the times. It's like,
Yeah.
because you're never going to understand it, and you're probably never really criticized.
Yeah.
And so me trying to criticize you, you're just, and a lot of people are going to be like, well, you're a white male aggressor. I'm like, okay, person who grew up in Farragut and, has had a privileged life. Please explain to me how me having a gun in my face on 3 different occasions is.
Yeah, it's like you don't want to only judge people based on like their environment and what they came
Yeah.
from, but sometimes it's necessary to do that
Yeah.
because like you said, like, okay, yeah, I may be a white male
Yeah.
and there is inherent privilege in that. There is,
Yeah.
we both can admit that
Yeah.
and we know it, but there's also inherent privilege, even if you're a woman,
Yeah.
of coming from Farragut.
Yeah. Wealth inequality. Yeah.
Growing up in that world. Yes, you were still a woman, and that's still, in a lot of places, bizarrely, it's still looked at as like you're a second-class citizen.
Yeah.
But even more so, wealth inequality,
Yeah.
you're really looked at as a second-class citizen if you don't have
Or third or
this.
fourth.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and I talked about that. There's one friend of mine that she and I got into these long arguments, and she said, every woman has it harder than every man. And I said, you are out of your fucking mind. And I literally did 2 real world examples. I was like, this person who grew up in Farragut, her dad is a lawyer, her
Yeah.
mom is a socialite.
Yeah.
Her husband, or to be at that point, is a lawyer. I was like, she has a safety net to where she doesn't have to worry about making her mortgage.
Sure.
I was like, and you're telling me she has it harder than this black dude who I grew up with, who it's a single mom because his dad's in prison,
Uh-huh.
and there are 4 kids. You're saying she has it harder than him. And she's like, yes. I was like, you're out of your fucking mind.
Yeah.
And it was because she grew up in Maryville and had never been around black people. Did not understand wealth inequality on that. She thinks she grew up poor. I was like, your grandmother owned a horse farm. That's not poverty.
No.
That's not poverty.
No.
God love her. But it was, I'm never going to convince her.
Yeah.
I'm never going to be able to convince her. So I just stopped arguing. I was like, I had one woman that I worked with that when we got laid off, she said to me, her and her husband bought a house in West Knoxville that's like a $400,000 house. And she told me, she's like, I'm going to have to cover the KUB bill every month. You know how hard that's going to be for me? And I looked at her and was like, fuck you. I was like, I got to cover my mortgage, my KUB, my set. I started running down everything. I was like, and maybe when I'm done, I can still keep Netflix.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, but it's going to be hard for me. I was like, no, it's not. Stop. Stop acting. And now I think they have 2 kids. She stopped working. I was like, you stop acting like it's a harder life. Like I don't think I have anxiety. I think it may be like an initial ping.
Yeah.
Of like, fuck. I was like, but I think a lot of times I've dealt with it so long that I understand. I was like, it's almost like a relief of like, fuck that.
Well, I think, like I was telling you earlier, when people tell me like something like I get nervous at parties and my initial reaction is like, it's cute. But then I think to myself like, well, your experience is not universal,
Yeah.
Somebody may not, it may hurt them. Like maybe they've spent their whole life being confident and for one reason or another, they went to this party and they got super nervous and it scared the shit out of them. And you're like, looking down on them for saying that to you, who has not had, who's
been the life of the party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I find myself this year, especially like this year. I mean, it's been a reflective year for everyone.
Yeah.
Like we've had plenty of time to just like sit around and fucking think about things that we could have done differently and all this stuff. But this year, especially has been like, I'm trying to be more aware of the way I could possibly affect people. And it's not like I'm trying to not be confrontational. Like like I was saying earlier, if I feel like I need to confront something and say it, then I'm just gonna say it. But this year I've tried to, and it's I hate to say the phrase because it's so ultimately cliched, but like it's been a year of like, God damn, dude, you cannot sweat the fucking small stuff so much anymore. Like
don't sweat the petty stuff and don't pet the sweaty stuff.
Exactly. Like, yeah, okay, that shit would maybe fly in like 2018 or 2019 when there's not a fucking global pandemic and you got plenty of time on your hands to like bitch about the tiniest things.
Yeah.
But now it's like in 2020 when this has just been just the most shit fire of a year. Why the fuck are you? Who cares? Why are you even wasting time on this? Zach, there's a fucking pandemic. You do not need to be thinking about these dumb little small things like, well, my one photo got 22 likes and this person that posted a photo of a tree got 700 some odd likes.
I'm writing down notes so I don't forget. I think it's been weird in that I feel like this year has been a lot of me yelling at people of like, yeah, where the fuck have you been? The world's been on fire for a long goddamn time. Where the fuck? Welcome to my world. Like when Trump got elected and me sitting with a bunch of fucking, I'm going to call them libtards because it's funny. And they're like, oh my God, what are we going to do to the world? I was like, you're all white people.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up. You're going to be fine. You're all middle class to lower upper class people.
Yeah.
You're going to be fine.
Yeah.
You're going to be fine. It's going to fuck a lot of other people. I was like, but welcome to my world of always being angry
Yeah.
and anxious about all this shit.
Yeah.
Because I'm not on your all's level, you dickhead. Like, and they were just like, well, and it was almost like I feel attacked. Well, fuck your attack. I was like, literally, and now I look back, I was like, yeah, now we're 4 years later. It's like, yeah, people got shot. But no, we need to worry about you being nervous because your 401k took a hit.
Yeah.
And he talked about grabbing pussies, you dude. And it was dudes. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with? It's like, welcome to my world. Like, that's been the self-reflection of this year. Just been like, yeah. Welcome to the fire that has been raging inside the entire time.
Yeah, seriously.
In saying this, because you're a big guy too, do you feel like you have to curtail and pull back a little bit because you don't want to seem too forceful?
Yeah.
On confrontation?
Yeah. I find myself like sometimes my anger episodes, like I find myself being like, man, if I did this to like anybody,
yeah,
like this wouldn't be good. Like I would look like a fucking psychopath to this person. And yeah, and it used to just be like, I don't know, my anger just used to be really unfocused. You know, it could be, it could go in any direction towards like anything.
And you didn't know what would set it. The most random shit would just set it off.
And it sounds ridiculous to say, but now when I get angry, I can focus on the one thing I'm getting angry about.
Yeah.
Not that I should be getting angry all the time, but hell, if you get fucking angry, you're fucking angry, and at least you're not like, it's not like universal to like you're yelling at whoever fucking shows up. You're like, I know what I'm angry about, and I can focus this anger on this thing. And but
do you feel like it's also kind of a mental checklist of like, okay, this makes me angry. Can I do something? It's almost like a flow chart. Can I do something about it? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
What's it going to, and all that. And if it's no, it's like little birds flying away. Like I can't think about this. I can't affect this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's no reason to be panicked about this.
Definitely.
Okay.
It's like, and I mean, I know I'm repeating myself, but like this year has it's just changed a lot of my mindset, how I process panic, I still have panic episodes, but they're mostly caused by like something unexpected, like something I'll see or read something unexpected, or I'll hear something, or I'll get like one of the dumbest panic attacks I've ever had happened earlier this year because I had an unexpected like sharp pain in my leg. It was like down here. I was like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah. Oh my God.
And I was
Did
like,
I break my leg?
Yeah. I was like, what the fuck is that shit? And that's never happened before. And it's like, what are you, come on. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, why are you doing it? It's a leg pain, Like, you're not, it'd be different if you felt that pain like in the center of your chest.
Yeah. And your left arm, you smell toast in your left arm.
Exactly.
Right,
you're like, oh, okay. That's not good. But instead I like feel it in my fucking leg and I'm like, oh, what?
Here we go.
Oh, but it's like, why I'm able now to like process my panic better because I'm like, come on, man, come on. If you're going to have a panic attack, okay, have a panic attack about something that like you should be panicking about. Like, well, a nuclear bomb just exploded about like 10 miles away. Should be panicking about what I'm going to do now. But instead I'm like, I had a pain in my leg that I had not felt before. Why are you?
My photo only got 3 likes. God damn it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Do you think that only came out of the self-reflection of this year? Do you think you were able to make a step forward because because you were able to not get tied up in the minutia of day-to-day life?
Yeah, and you know what? Honestly, Jody, that's a thing. I don't want to say struggle because I haven't really struggled with it, but you feel like maybe, God damn, so many people have died this year,
Yeah.
And you think like, it is selfish to think how this year has helped me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I go back and forth in that all the time. Like, I've been able to be more reflective and more centered and more mature about my thoughts and actions and everything. Because like you said, I am no longer obsessed with the fucking minutia of going in and working my 8-hour shift and all this shit. And it's like, I struggle with it being selfish like that. Like, nobody's ever going to say like, thank God there was a pandemic so I could think, I could better myself. But you got to fucking pull some silver linings somewhere. You know,
that's been a weird thing of people seeing all the memes coming out this year. And one of them was like, if you came out this year and didn't start a hobby, then what were you doing with your downtime? And people would like cross that out and be like, you were getting right mentally. You were maybe had no money and were unemployed to where you couldn't afford to. Like it ran through all this stuff of like, stop trying to act like you should have been a baller this year because you had downtime. A lot of people did not have downtime.
No.
I had to work, and I'm still not right money-wise, and I've worked my fucking dick off this year trying to earn every penny I can, trying to squeeze every penny I can. And I had... Although this brought me some relief, and this is a hard thing to admit, because I've only told one person. I said, and this, I got to look, I think our meeting was like in June. God love her. I should ask her. I was like, did you think I had flown the coop during our meeting? I had a meeting with this friend of mine who does PR and marketing. I was like, I am to the point to where I don't want to just succeed. I want to put these 5 businesses out of business. That's my goal. Because they're such shit heels, and I think they're fucking awful, and they should be put out of goddamn business. And she sat there and went, took little notes, and I was like, and I'm not fucking kidding. And still to this day, I can rattle off like 5 people. I was like, I think they should be out of business. Like they're so because I'm obsessive, OCD, whatever you want to call it. I hate to sound like a broken record, or again, Charlie Brown. The amount of times people copy off me or rip me off. I had somebody literally stand in front of me as I was doing work for a big corporation say, hey, I need to buy you coffee and pick your brain. How do you get those big companies? And I was just like, what? And she was like, you get these big clients, and how do you get them? And I was gobsmacked. I was like, I don't fucking know. And then, of course, reflection when you're driving away, I was like, oh, it's because I've been doing this a long time and I'm good at what I do.
Yeah.
I don't expect a shortcut like your rich Nashville ass expects.
Yeah.
I have actually worked, and I've like earned that place at the table. I'm not trying to take shortcuts like you.
Right.
That's how I've done it. Of course, I never said that to her, but that's a person I'm like, she needs to be out of business. She's not really taking money away from me, but she's trying to best me or put herself out there because she doesn't have to worry about money. Her husband works. So she's taking like digital marketing, design, all that away from me. And I'm like, and you're charging these people like $50 to do a logo. I was like, you're undervaluing it, but you're also not delivering.
Yeah.
But it's hard. It's like, no, you need to be out of business. You're actually causing issues. So it's people like that.
Yeah.
To where, and my friend, God love her, I should ask her. I'll have to ask her in person. I was like, what did you think was happening? I'd love to know. Like, fly on the wall, like what was going on in your brain? I was like, because I still stand by that.
Jody has lost his mind. Yeah. I am sitting here just...
But it is one of those things. It's like, I think it is kind of a confrontational thing of like, no, you're hurting me and my business by being shitty at what you do and undercutting. Mm-hmm. Fuck you. Like, you shouldn't be in this business.
Yeah.
Find something else.
Yeah.
Find something else. Walk the fuck away from me.
Yeah.
Like, no, you're an awful human being. I'm giggling like an idiot. Here, I'm going to completely transition. So there were 2 other things I wrote down about, like, Is panic disorder a form of depression, or are those two kind of separate?
I mean, they can go hand in hand. Like, when I was diagnosed with the medication that's done the best for me is it's an anxiety medication, but it also helps with depression. So it can, like, when I was at my worst, like, lowest phases, like, yeah, I would get depressed about thinking about how bad my next fucking panic attack would be. I would be like, this is just going to be my life, and I'm going to be stuck feeling like this forever.
Yeah.
And it just, it can definitely send you into maybe not like the similar spiral that like people that are clinically depressed feel, because they feel, I mean, depressed for like long fucking periods of time. But it can definitely lead to a semi-lengthy depression, for sure.
Do you think you've seen in the past few years the stigma around, like, how long have you been, when did you said this on the podcast, but for those just listen, like, what was the first moment where you were actually aware? Like, holy shit, there's a loose wire somewhere. Something's going on.
I was aware right after my parents got divorced, because I just started feeling a lot more just anxious about everyday life.
How old were you?
I was fucking 15.
Okay.
But I went through like the rest of high school just, having like little moments here and there of being like anxious and shit. But I think, and I've said this before, but it's like, I think when I became an adult is when it started to get really pronounced, because you're like, okay, life is different now. Bills, jobs, interpersonal relationships, like all this shit, when you're in fucking high school and stuff, like, you might have like a part-time job or something, but you're, for the most part, you're like, I'm not paying the bills.
Right.
I'm not like responsible for feeding me.
Right.
And so I got actually clinically diagnosed in 2015.
Okay.
Is when I just finally decided to do something about it.
Yeah.
Like, I had to do something because my life was just getting worse.
Right.
Like, there was no improvement. I was not able to like deal with it myself. So I just finally decided, like, I have got to see somebody. I've got to figure out if this is what this is, and if medication is like a thing, then I'm just gonna have to do it. Because you don't want to think to yourself, God, I got to take these fucking pills for the rest of my life. But then you're like, actually, I don't really care.
Right.
If that's going to improve my life, I will take these fucking pills till I die.
Was that 2015 when you saw a therapist and got diagnosed?
Yeah.
Okay. And did you have to try different things to get it, or did they kind of figure it out? She
got, I mean, she's a fucking miracle worker. She had 3 sessions with me to pinpoint like what my issues were. And at the end of the 3rd session is when she prescribed a medication for me.
Mm-hmm.
And haven't looked back since. Now, I know some people, like, it takes them like trial and error.
I was amazed when I interviewed Mark, the psychiatrist, the therapist. I was amazed because I had never thought about it. That he was like, oh yeah, some people will go to a therapist for like 2 years and then be like, this isn't working.
Exactly.
I was like, holy fuck, that's so much time, and that's dealing with your mental health. Like, holy fuck. Like, I never thought about that.
Absolutely.
Like, that you actually have to shop for a therapist like you shop for a car.
Exactly. Almost. And that's the thing is, like, I was afraid that was going to happen.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, God. Am I going to fucking
I hate
start
to say
with this
that's
person?
a big reason why I've never gone to therapist.
Oh, yeah, no, exactly.
Like, yeah.
And it's a legitimate concern to have. Things were so dire for me, I was like, I don't care how fucking long it takes, I got to find something.
Yeah, yeah.
But I can understand that mindset completely, because it's like, God damn. So how many times am I going to have to open this fucking raw wound, tell this person, and then realize they're not the person for me to talk to.
I think part of it with me is I do not mean this to sound arrogant or anything. It's like I kind of know my issues.
Sure.
And a lot of them I can manage it.
Sure.
And a lot of them I was like, I don't know that going to a therapist would help.
Yeah, and it might not.
Like, it's like somebody once talked to me about that. I was like, no, that's why I have friends. Like, I have close friends that I can sit and talk to about shit and be completely open and honest with them. And that helps. I was like, now, if I didn't have them, I may need to, but it's been one of those things. I was like, I don't know that their therapy would help.
Yeah, and see, but that's like, that's not even a conceited thing. That's just like, you understand what your issues are.
Yeah.
And you don't feel that like you need help to get through them.
Yeah.
Now, me, I fucking needed it.
Yeah.
I knew the difference is I knew what my issues were, but I could not fucking do it by myself.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I don't think that's anything like to be arrogant or anything about like shit. And if I were like in your boat, you know, I'd be like, I don't really see the benefit of therapy, and that's fucking fine.
No, I understand that is beneficial
for yourself.
Yeah. Because I think back, I think I was about 30 or so when I started noticing these things. I was like, oh yeah, all of this is because of one thing Dad said to me when I was like 8 or like 10. And I still remember like the thing about the being more humble and not making a big deal out of myself or not being crazy was because we were playing in a basketball. And as we were leaving the rec center, one of the kids from the other team who we beat went out, slammed himself on a couch, and started kicking the shit out of the couch and crying. This is a regular season game. And we're walking to the door, and of course, my big ass dad, and I'm like 10, so I'm, you know, only 6 feet tall at 10. That's a joke for the people at home. Nothing. Crickets from the cheap seats over there. He turns around, points a finger into my face, and he's like, I better never see you do that shit right there. And turns around, we leave.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, that's why I don't brag and boast and talk shit. It's because of that one line from my dad. And to that point, I would almost sit down with a therapist and go, you're not going to be able to fix that.
Yeah.
Like I'll have confidence. I still have confidence in my abilities where it's needed, but there's no fixing that. No. I don't see a solution to that. No. I actually see it as a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that it's not you know, all the things you run through. I was like, I would almost, it's almost like in my brain, it's compartmentalized of like, let somebody else be helped by a therapist. Let me not waste that person's time.
Yeah.
Like,
and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I don't see anything wrong with that. I don't see it as like being arrogant or anything about therapy because, you know, not everyone needs outside help to deal with their issues.
Yeah.
Some people are able to be like, I know what my issues are. I know why I do these things.
Yeah.
I also know how to stop them if I feel a need to stop them.
I also spent a lot of years punching people and putting people in the hospital.
Yeah.
That got rid of a lot of the anger issues.
There you go. You got to do, you know, you got to get your therapy where you can get it.
Yeah.
Man.
There's one buddy of mine that him and his wife have finally started like working out, and he's gotten pretty big, and he keeps on like, and he said to me the other night, he got a little drunk and he was like, I want to arm wrestle you. I was like, okay. So we arm wrestled, and he was like pulling me away. And I was like, God damn it, dude. I was like, I didn't beat him, but he didn't beat me. And he said, I actually got him further down than anybody else in like 30 years. I was like, holy shit. Well, that's pretty good. It's like, I also don't give a shit. This doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
Because I can lift a 600-pound refrigerator and he cannot. Like, that's real world shit. But he, as he drank a little bit, he's like, yeah, you know, because he knew me doing the boxing years. He's like, yeah, I think I might get to the point to where I might want to get in a ring with you. I was like, I haven't done that in like 14 years.
Yeah.
I haven't done that in 14 years. I'm not in the best shape. I was like, but you want to do, what are you trying to prove, man? What are you trying to, and then I finally, he was like, well, you know, and I looked at him, I was like, dude, here's the difference. I've been in hundreds of fights. You've been in 0. I can not work out and kick the shit out of you.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, I was like, there's no well there, brother. I was like, because I still have a little bit right in here. And also now is not the time. Because now that fire is up a little bit more.
Yeah.
I was like, also, I played sports at a competitive level. I think if you play sports at a competitive level or fight at a competitive level, there's always just a level up. Like, if I started really training and working hard right now, me to get in shape would be a lot shorter than someone like him.
Right.
It's taken him like 4 years to get to this point. It's like,
Right.
it would take me about 4 weeks, and I can get into a level of just like, I can fuck you up. Like, and I can, like, I always joke, like, people talk shit about, like, we were playing Flip Cup, and one guy was talking mad shit, and I was like, you know, if we walked outside and had a football throwing contest, I would bury every motherfucker in this place. I think there's a zen. I think it's because I started realizing that shit as I turned like 30. There's almost like a zen to it of like, this doesn't fucking matter because I can beat you at 10 other things. This doesn't matter. We're not playing global thermonuclear war here. Like, as my buddy Gailey put it, you don't have cancer. It's just dog collars, which is a throwback to pet safety. It's like, none of it fucking matters.
No.
So why are you stressed? I have stress about the real things, like paying my goddamn mortgage.
Yeah.
Like, that's the funny thing is I don't think a therapist could. I was like, no, can you give me work? Can you give me work? Like, I finally.
You talking about your mortgage to your therapist will be like, they'd be like, well, that sucks.
I told one buddy of mine, and here you'll be the second person I said this to, and because nobody listens to this, I said, a lot of my anxiety and stress comes from money.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm tired of being the friend that it's like, well, I got to watch what I spend here. It's like, whereas a lot of my friends are like, no, I'm just going to spend fuck tons of money. I was like, jokingly getting me a $200 thing just for the fuck of it. I was like, I'm never going to be able to do that back to you. So I hope you're okay with that. And he was like, yeah. And he's like, well, how do you solve that? I was like, I just keep working.
Yeah.
I was like, that's the only thing you can do.
What else? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
but I still wake up at 3 a.m. and be like, holy fuck, my goddamn mortgage, and goddamn government, and goddamn it, like that. And I was like, I guess I'm gonna watch Condor Man for the fourth time.
Yeah, I might as well do this because it's not gonna affect another fucking thing.
I will say, in the early part of this pandemic, the thing that mentally saved me was fucking Tiger King. I sat right here and laid down and watched that whole goddamn thing in one sitting because I was so stressed and anxious about everything.
Yeah.
Because I started losing contract jobs. Like crazy.
Oh, yeah.
And then it was like, fuck, how am I going to? And then I sat there and watched Tiger King. I was like, okay, I'll figure it out. Like, it was, I don't know why. Cannot in a million years explain it.
Fucking Joe Exotic.
Fucking Joe. I can't believe that was this year. Like, that also hurts my brain.
Dude, who even knows what happened this year?
Yeah. Yeah, I keep thinking about, somebody ran through of like, oh, you remember when Josh Gad doing those Reunite Apart was the thing for a minute? And you're like, yeah, that was like August. It feels like.
Absolutely.
Feels forever ago. So I'm being aware of your time. So are you concerned? Do you think this is a relative, I can't say that goddamn word. Was it revelatory?
Oh, revelatory.
Revelatory.
Yeah.
Goddamn year, and then this will change how you are from here on out? Or are you concerned about when shit starts going back to normal that maybe shit may start to build back up?
I legitimately go back and forth about that. I think, like, man, all the shit I've learned this year will probably make me just like so much of a more resilient person. But then
Hopefully.
I start to think, like, unless you go back to a fucking job like Whole Foods.
Yeah. Well, my big thing about Trump was that I fussed at some people about, because I heard some people be like, dodge that bullet, we got out of that. And I was like, no, fuck you. We need to learn from this.
Yeah.
That's the only way we're going to actually improve. We got to learn from this.
Yeah.
We can't just be like, well, that 4 years we were drunk and, all that. No.
Biden got elected. Things are great.
Yeah. Stop. That's like everybody's joking about, like, well, can't wait for 2021 to get here. It's like, it's a fucking day. It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't fucking matter. I saw somebody put up, like, if you start watching Avengers Endgame at this point, Tony will snap Thanos out of existence exactly at midnight. And that's you snapping away 2020 to get into 20. I was like, fuck off. Like, fuck off.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. It's you know, it would be the same as like somebody getting the vaccine.
Yeah.
And being like,
oh, yeah.
I can't wait to
Throwing their mask
throw
away.
this mask away.
Yeah.
I can't wait to lick people at bars. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Although I keep saying, when all this is over, consensually, I'm going to just start hugging the shit out of people. Again, when it's safe to get past this.
I really thought you were going to say consensual. I'm just going to start slaying ass.
That's our other. Oh God, that's our other podcast.
That's the other one that will not be named yet. We're not telling any of you the names.
It's got some cool art that I had to send to a designer buddy of mine. It's like, am I ripping that off too much? He's like, nah, you're fine.
We got good art. We got good topics. You'll never know about them.
We got good intro music. I was actually proud of that intro. I was like, I'm not a musician. This actually turned out pretty fucking cool. Out of these 3 dummy ones that I downloaded,
But you will never hear.
You will never hear. I've got I'll show you before you leave my little list in there. I was like, there's one job. I was like, I have to get done with this job because I feel bad for this lady. Like, it's something I'm doing for free that she asked me in like November or September.
That's free.
Yeah, I know. That's
just kidding. Whoever this lady is, just kidding.
It
just
keeps
kidding.
getting pushed down to the bottom of the pile. It's like, I feel guilty doing other things before I get that done. Yeah. So if you'll look on my desktop, you'll see all the windows are open of all the things I'm working on, and this unnamed podcast is sitting right there. It's number 1, 2, 3. It's number 3.
Hey, number 3 is pretty good.
It's number 3. It's the free job, the cheap job, and that is
this podcast that you still may never.
Because there's also something else I started in this that we did an episode, a video series that is to be unnamed. Have I told you about this?
You have, yeah.
Okay. That I told her, it's like, we're going to push this back till sometime in January because I need to get some of this other shit done or up and going because I'm starting to feel guilty about this.
Yeah.
As we roll this in, Jesus, Ryan.
Yep.
Do you have, I don't want to say like a mantra or advice or something to say if somebody is feel like they might have an anxiety disorder or feel anxious, other than listening to your podcast from beginning to end, subscribing, get those numbers up. Is there something you would say to those people?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not going to share it here. Listen to Panic on this podcast.
I'm not going to tell any of you. If you want the secret, you got to listen to my podcast.
Yeah.
No. Stop pretending that you just don't need help. Most people still want to, like, if it's an actual disorder, like, most people still want to be like, I just feel anxious sometimes. Probably not, man. If you are feeling this way, like, about small things that have nothing to do with, like, going to a party or a public place.
Yeah.
If you're sitting in your home.
Yeah.
And you read something that's, like, really not, like, so doomy.
Yeah.
But somewhat. And it makes you feel, like, spirally. Accept that you might need some help.
Yeah.
Like, accept help is what I would tell somebody. Like, don't think that everything can be solved by yourself. Because that was my mistake, is I waited too long. And not that, like, you can't come back from it, because I did. But I waited way too long when I knew that I was, like, panicking more than is normal in life. You know, things could have been regular. Like, stop just thinking like, oh, it's just, you know.
Well, somebody said to me like 6 or 7 years ago, said, stop comparing yourself to others, as in, well, I don't have it as bad as this person, so
Yeah.
I should realize how grateful I am.
Yeah.
And somebody finally said to me, is like, you have to stop doing that. You have to own your pain. You have to figure it out and deal with that shit.
Except that you might have a fucking brain malady.
Yeah.
And don't just be like, well, I can deal with it myself.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you fucking can't, you know? It's not even an issue of like, well, I'm pretty weak if I have to fucking go and talk to someone. No, you're not. You're not weak. Shit, man. Like, you're not fucking weak. If you want to get down to brass tacks, we're all weak because these bodies are shells that eventually give out on us. So
we're all going to die.
So, you know, what the fuck is the problem with like going to get your brain fixed?
Yeah.
If that's what it comes down to.
We're only on this earth for so long.
Yeah, man.
So you might as well enjoy it.
We know that these shells are eventually going to give out, so why not maximize your brain power for as long as you can have it?
Oh my God. You just sent 20 people who are listening to this into a panic disorder. They're like, oh my God, I'm going to die.
I didn't tell you.
Oh.
My podcast is for causing panic in people. It's not for helping.
I had a moment. So here's one. I woke up in the middle of the night and I realized how old my parents were and how old Tom was. And I was just like, holy shit, I'm going to have to be them and deal with them, like going to an old folks home and stuff. And that sent me down a rabbit hole.
Ooh.
Of like, holy fuck, I'm 42 and I'm the adult. I have to deal with this.
Way to end this episode on like the least uplifting.
But I think it is what you're saying, like owning it, of like, holy fuck. No, I hate saying the term man up, but it's like, no, then
but you're exactly right.
You'll figure out how to deal with it.
The thesis of this episode is own your pain, accept help.
And we out this motherfucker.